Yeah, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Ask a Medium. Sorry, this is round table, but our topic is to do with mediums, and it's basically how do you know when you're dealing with genuine mediums. So that's what we will preliminarily be talking about, and you know, it might be one or two things related to genuine mediums, mediumship. So that is what we're talking about now. We are missing Karen tonight. I believe she has a bad back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Karen, if you are watching, we love you loads. Get well soon.
Come back soon.
Yeah. Yeah. Because Glory's looking a bit worried.
She's looking a bit worried. She's safe with me.
Watermelon.
Watermelon. That's a safe word, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is it. Yeah.
That's a help word. Oh, blinks.
The door's going to come crashing open in a minute. Everyone's going to come and save you.
That'd be good.
Yeah, everyone.
Your knee's hurting.
Oh, I cursed you, yeah.
Put a spell on me.
Only a little curse.
Oh,
It's
that's
only
nice.
a knee.
One needle.
I was gonna sort your heart out, but you know I can't find it. It's on
Right.
Swinging Bridge.
So at the moment I'm getting an advert. But anyway,
Oh,
I think I need to just adjust something on here fairly quickly. All messages are visible. I think that's it. So yeah, we're good to go. So yeah, that is what we will be talking about. So obviously we've got Rudy and Glory who can share their experiences of what constitutes what you would expect from a genuine medium. I've had dealings with various different mediums. Jeff, I think you've probably had one or two as well. So
I've had Gloria, who's done a reading for me.
Yeah.
Well, a couple of readings, and she's got them bang on.
yeah,
And I had that, what was it called again? Past life regression?
Oh yeah,
Mm.
Past
it
life,
was
I had
obvious,
that past life regression, and I don't know whether that will bang on or not, but it seems to have resonated, and things have come off of that. So, with my experiences, yeah, that's my experience. Isn't it?
yeah. So yeah, I mean those have watched my channel down the years now, because this channel's been live for about 5 years coming up for now.
It's a long session.
It's 5 years, yeah. It's a long time. And how it's grown has been mental. But yeah, so yeah, I've had experiences with different mediums. I'm not going to talk about individuals, but it was interesting to know the ones that I have dealt with, both with the channel and outside, who you know are, you get the sense that they're
Genuine.
they're genuine, yeah,
Say the word.
yeah. You know, and what they're picking up is right. You know, either through your own knowledge about something, you know, or your own gut instincts as well. Because sometimes, you know, you can rely on your own gut instincts about something or someone, which will kind of tell you, no, this person's, you know, they're completely off key, or they're absolutely spot on. So, yeah, as I say, I'm not going to name names or anything, but yeah, my experience down the last few years, I think, yeah, literally the last few years, I've had a bit of a crash course in dealing with mediums. And, and as you know, if you've been following the channel for some, for a while, you know, obviously meeting Rudy and Gloria, it was quite apparent that what the stuff that they were getting, and you know, the readings and all the rest, that they were pretty spot on. So, you know, from that basis, it became easier for me when I'm watching other mediums, whether it's, you know, you feel like there's, you know, yeah, they're really good with what they're doing, and also from feedback from other people, you know, when other people have dealt with. And as I said, that probably goes back to a gut instinct thing. You know, other people can say, yeah, I think that person really knows stuff, or they were just sort of playing, you know, with certain trigger words or something to appear as if they know what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know much about this, if anything, to be fair. But the ones that I think are a bit, I'm not going to say fake, but I'm going to say a little bit hooky.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not going to say the word. I
No,
don't want
that's
to
a
use the
good
word
one,
fake,
okay.
but
Straight out Holyfield's answers, that is.
and I want to know Rudy and Gloria's opinion on this. The ones where you go for a reading, but before they give you a reading, they sit you down and they ask you loads and loads and loads of questions about your life and your family and this, that, and the other. And then when they start telling you your reading, you're like, well, hang on a minute, I told you that about half an hour ago.
Yeah,
And they start picking
that's,
of it.
that's it.
But whereas the stuff that I've had from you, I haven't told you anything, and you've got it pretty much bang on. I haven't had a reading from you before, so I can't. But what are your opinions on them type of people that you go and spend 50 quid or whatever, and then they ask you all these questions? Do they have to ask you all these questions? I don't know. Am I getting this wrong? Or
I've never met a medium who asks questions before they give a reading. That's bizarre. I've never heard of it.
am I thinking of a clairvoyant then?
No. So there's two types of mediumship. There's psychic mediumship, which is what we use when we read tarot, or we do crystal readings. So, and it's basically about your life now and you as a person. And then the spiritual mediumship, which is where you're linking with the spirit world, and that's different. When you do spiritual mediumship, you surrender yourself to spirit and you serve them. So, I mean, Rudy's nodding, but I don't know how Rudy works. I've never seen him work. But when I do a service or I do a reading for someone, I will tell spirit that I am here to serve them, and I am here to serve my loved ones and my guides and everyone else's loved ones who have gone on before them. So I will be the link between the spirit world and the person I'm reading for.
Yeah, that's right.
It doesn't make me special. Anyone can do it. The problem I see nowadays is people are not training properly. So for me, there's a very specific way of giving a message, and I try and stick to that format, because then you give the information so the person recognises who they are. Then you give them some more evidence. Then you tell them why they're here and give them the message. And that to me constitutes a good message. But there should be something.
A gift or something.
Well, it is a gift. It's a gift that we can all use. But this world is such that we're forgetting what we are. And I know I've said this many times, people are sick of hearing it. We forget that we are spiritual beings. We're simply having a physical experience. And we've all got a pineal gland that sits here, and it's science really can't work out why we still have it. It's not connected to the left hemisphere or the right hemisphere of the brain. It's connected to the limbic system. It releases serotonin, it releases dopamine, but also it releases the same drug ingredient you get when you go into an altered state. And when you go into theta or gamma, any of those, the little hairs on the top of your pineal gland will start to rise and they'll start to vibrate. So it can take you into an altered state. It's what we're meant to be doing. It's how
Is that
it's
where the
supposed to
DMC
work.
comes from?
That's what I was looking at. I was going to say HTC, and that's a phone.
No,
That's a phone.
Stoner.
That was also a phone brand.
Yeah.
But yeah, so everybody has a pineal gland. Everybody's capable of doing this, but unfortunately, you get people who go along for an hour's workshop or a day's workshop, and they come away and they go, oh, yeah. And then they start charging people. Before you know it, the money becomes more important than the act, and the act of mediumship is for me is really emotional and really I'm privileged. I feel privileged that I'm able to do that, and so I've never asked anyone questions apart from are you comfortable? Which was the
I think what
water.
you're talking about, Jeff, was more leading questions.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
So you saying they ask you before they start the reading or during the reading?
Well, not me personally, but I've heard that people go to these like clairvoyants that are like that go to pubs and Mr.
Oh.
Let's say Mystic Meg's coming to the such and such a pub, and you pay her money, and then she sits down and she talks about your dad and this, that, and the other because tell me about your dad and this, that, and then they ask you loads of questions. Only for
And
what
then
people
confirm
say.
it. So they
And
might
then-
go, is your dad in spirit? And they'll say yes. And the media will go, I thought so because he's here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that
So
is.
it's a lead. It's a lead.
I
to
can
mine.
see a man with grey hair. Well, that's a 50-50, isn't it? Really, it's an old
Yeah.
man, 50 man, grey hair. Well, he had grey hair.
These are questions that could be
leading.
yeah,
or not.
that leading. You know, they could mean anyone or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you should never ask. You should never ask questions, William.
I can see
You
a
give
I can see
information.
a male figure in between 5'2" and 7'4".
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
is it between that?
Just got a few comments quickly. Heather said hello. Hello, Heather. Evening all.
Watermelon, Heather.
Blink, blink, blink.
Yeah, blink, blink, blink.
Yeah. Neil said hello.
Hello, Neil.
Hello, Ghost
Hello,
Crew.
Neil.
Hi, Neil. The big giveaway of the fake medium. The red nose, the big clown feet, in my opinion.
If only,
Neil's
if only they dressed like that.
Yeah.
Not to mention the name is Pennywise. That's from Heather. And there was
What?
Pennywise.
Pennywise.
Oh, Pennywise. Oh no.
The hairs on the palm of
Freak.
my hand are standing up. That's from Neil.
Okay, thanks.
All right, I think, yeah, I kind of get that. So yeah, that's that's one example. Now, another interest, going back to one of the places that we went to, which is quite well known. Now, another thing that's triggered was like brooding glory when we've gone to places and never asked for history of anything. It's just gone in blind. Because then,
of course,
because you I mean you can explain why you go in blind.
More than else.
Well, you're going. It's like you're going blind because you're not. You know, whatever you pick up, then you have to sort of go through the layers. You know, and try and describe what you're seeing, and if it's connected to any of the people you're with, you know, or you can describe what they're wearing, so that denotes kind of age that they're from, or whatever's going on, or whatever connection you're going to get. Sometimes it's they tell you. Sometimes, I mean, it's different for mediums work differently. For me, I can see, hear, and feel. Sometimes I get all the gubbins, but even so, you still have to make the connections. You work with your guides or whatever. How you work. Some like Gloria says, there's different ways of working. You've got psychic mediums, mediums. The psychic levels are a lower level, what I call an earthy level, and when you're connecting to spirit, that's the higher level. You know, and you're creating that connection with spirit. So there's several ways you can get information, or you can get the whole whole shebang all at once. But it's up to you, because you're the conduit to give the appropriate and proper messages with evidence and connections. You know, you have to make that connection, and the person you're giving the message to has to, relate to it, basically.
What does it feel like when you have somebody talking to you?
Well,
Can it be overwhelming at times?
No,
when
it's very nice.
I never meant to do. I never meant to do trance mediumship, but I got. It just happened for me. I was a bit wary of it, but now I've been doing it for I haven't done it for a while. But when I was in my little group, we was doing it, and it was quite interesting, really. Wasn't that scary, because we were protected, and because there's ways you have to follow the protection procedures, and there's, it's not just everything. You have to protect yourself from any outside interference, but that's the way I work anyway. A lot of mediums, like I said, they work differently, and I mean, basically, it's you know, if everyone can do this, but the art of doing it is to clear your mind of all the everyday rubbish that you get. I mean, that's why meditation is paramount. Because you meditate to a certain state, like Laura was talking about, getting your brain in a certain states, you know, and this is where it all happens. Because we're physical beings as well as spiritual, so the spiritual does the physical does interfere with the spiritual. That's why you have to meditate to sort of separate this.
Yeah. Hello, Gloria.
Hello.
Hang on.
Hello.
Oh, I've just done it again. 2 seconds. So that's the second time she's gone off. So I don't know whether we're going to.
Having a good
I don't know if we're going to be having interference, but just saying.
Is there anybody there?
Could well be.
Okay, there is somebody up. You'll have to check it.
If there's anyone here, Jeff's out the door. Just to let you know.
So,
It seems to be a usual thing, me just walking out nowadays.
so Gloria, was that
Is there something you resonate with?
something you resonate with or not? I
For
mean, I know
me,
we have differences, but
right, so if you're going to see a medium, you want evidence that it's your loved one. And the whole point and the key to a message is that when that person leaves, or when you reach the end of that message, there is no doubt that that was their Uncle Bill, or that was their granddad, or that was their husband, or their wife, or their daughter, or whoever. So for me, trance mediumship is not evidence. It's not evidence at all. And I've just spent 4 days at the Arthur Findlay College. It's been an absolutely
Cheers, Neil.
inspiring 4 days, full of, like, you know, with hundreds of like-minded people. And I went to see a trance den, and I've got no doubt it was absolutely genuine. And this guy was talking about how we're all perfect, really, and we just need to accept ourselves, blah, 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 blah. And I was watching him, his voice changed, his face looked different. And yeah, I know that the guy wasn't making it up. But to someone who's gone to see his Uncle Jim or his wife, that's not evidence. And I think it's important we separate mediumship for other people, where we are actually bringing in people's loved ones to say to them, we're not dead. That's the whole point for me of being a spiritualist. Is the whole point of my existence as a medium is to show people that we don't die when we die,
life
and that
after
we
death.
go on and we survive. This carcass is temporary.
Yeah.
And so, while trance mediumship certainly has its place,
Well, it happened to you
Tran-
when I was doing it for you.
trance mediumship is a place where you can ask questions. So, my guide, who shall remain nameless because you just said there's been some interference, so I'm not going to mention it. But this particular guide, when I do cabinet, will come in and just talk and talk and talk, and I've got no idea what I'm going to say till I say it's not trance, because I'm aware of where I am. I'm aware of who's there. I can hear if people are whispering stuff, but I do not know what's going to come out of my mouth until it comes out, and I'm aware of them being there as well. But that to me isn't trance. Trance, as I understand it, is where when you finish, you come round from almost from being asleep.
No.
So
No,
but that's the trance in the SAU
as
trance.
you
That's
know,
how it works.
all
Yeah.
right.
So I don't do trance because I want to just bring people their loved ones. I want to make people happy in that way. I want to be able to prove that their Auntie Hilda is really still here, and that her finger isn't broken anymore, or you know she doesn't have cancer now, or and give them something, just something so specific that they're like, oh my god, that's her.
So I mean the thing for me is, you know, when you do open out to your gifts, you know, I'm not at the kind of level you guys are at, but I do.
Takes
Yeah,
time. You've got
yeah,
to walk before you can
yeah,
run,
that's
mate.
right.
You can't, you
I
know,
do
If you want to do
as you know,
it, sit in a circle
I
and
will do.
actually learn.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
sit in
do it.
circles. Yeah.
I will do. I'm catching up with things now, so hopefully can do that. But I mean, you know, when there's certain stuff
yeah.
I've picked up on,
Yeah.
and you've confirmed it, and there's stuff that
Yeah.
I've done that you've seen. So
And you confirm for me, and I'll confirm for you. So
exactly,
we've
yeah,
worked, we've worked together in.
yeah,
these
we've
things.
done some good stuff.
And it turned out that it was correct. So
Yeah. There's, I was going to say there was, I mean, it's another example of a good genuine medium. This is the most random circumstance. I've gone off piece slightly. When you know you've got that knowing that this isn't it, that this is just a physical manifestation, whatever you want to call it, physical experience, that this isn't the end. I know that when my mum passed, all the problems she had on this realm are no more. You know, the bipolar, you know, and the tumours and things like that. I knew when Mama passed over, yes, I miss her intently, you know, from the physical world, but I know now she's over, she's fine, you know, she's mum. And the most random of things happen. I'll go back on something. You know, there's a medium that Gloria and myself know, quite randomly. Obviously, you know, through Circle and from church. The lady happens to be one of the clients for the job I do during the day. And I was taking her to Southend Hospital and we were chatting away about the spirit stuff as you do. And my mum just come through Pam. So, I mentioned her now. I mentioned her now.
It could be Pam anyone. So
Yeah, it could be Pam anyone, yeah. And mum but now, Pam doesn't know my mum from anyone, but she described my mum perfectly. You know, and it was the most random of occurrences, because obviously I'm with these guys, you know, quite a bit. So if mum's wants to come through, she's got ample opportunity. And the only one really has been Grandad, but I was in a real bad, I was in a bad point when Grandad showed up. So, you know, mum's got plenty of opportunities to come through, but she's literally said that, you know, when she's going through Pam, that you said, you know, you've been really busy. So actually trying to contact me, you know, even though they're in the spirit world, trying to contact yourself has been hard because I've been busy doing other things. I suppose.
Well, she's trying to ring you, but you've been busy.
Yeah, the phone's been off you. And I suppose, you know, my other spirit guides and everything, they're all jostling for position. That's the only thing I can think of. It's like, Adam, you're doing this today, and you're doing that.
Spirit tends to come through to you when you need them rather than when you want them.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And so maybe she hadn't been through previously because it would have broken you, or you weren't ready, or it would have ruined your day.
I think that time when I was really down I think Grandad was the right person to come through at that point.
And that will make sense.
Mm.
So spirit will come to you when you need them.
Mm.
And that's the other thing about going to see a medium or going to a service or a demo. It's if you go in with, I want to hear from Bob.
Mm.
I only want to hear from Bob. I'm not interested in the rest of Bob. And the medium brings someone through who you recognise, but you're so intent on hearing from Bob, you're just not accepting anyone else.
Yeah.
And the sad part is it could be the person that you don't want to hear from is actually bringing Bob in, but you don't give them space to do that.
No.
And so you really have to have an open mind as well.
Unfortunately, some people go to these churches with this, you know, see a medium with expectations of getting a message from a certain person or a loved one,
exactly.
and they don't get that.
Yeah.
They get something else.
No,
But it's down to the medium to explain it, and I do tend to say just have an open mind, because someone you haven't seen for a long time or that you would never imagine would come through to you will or might, and when they do, there'll be a good reason for it, and that will be in the message and in the evidence.
And could that lead to other things?
What do you mean?
If they go into, let's say they go in to connect with the mum, but they connect with Uncle Dave.
Yeah.
From what I've just picked up on there, could Uncle Dave be trying to get a message to them from the mum? Because
It could be, and they may not.
I don't know how this works.
They may not say,
I get it.
sorry, Mum's here, but she can't talk to you right now, or they might do. But whatever that person needs at that time, Spirit are aware, and so they will make sure that message is delivered to that person. So.
Can I ask a question then? Because I'm pretty much in this group on behalf of the public, because I know Jack Poo about all of this. I'm a commoner. So I really ask questions on behalf of the public. Really.
And that's good.
I think because
we should be questioned. I don't
profess to have any sort of power or anything like that. But right, you've got the spirit world, yeah.
Yep.
So where spirits in a
Contained,
the body the body's is just like a
vessel.
vessel, yeah.
Yeah.
And you're saying everybody's in the spirit world
We're only the
when,
dead
when, no,
ones,
when
but
they
yeah.
pass, when they die, yeah,
Yes,
when they pass,
yeah.
not die, pass.
Yeah.
I know we're going to go off piece here, but I think it's interesting.
No,
What's
no.
reincarnation then?
That's when you decide you want to reincarnate
Mm,
somewhere
you wanna
else,
come back.
or back here, or
Yeah.
wherever you want to go.
But sometimes when you pass,
But who gives? So sorry, Will, but who gives that?
You do.
I don't
Authority.
understand.
You do.
Yeah.
So what you need to understand is that you are part of the whole. So other religions will call it God,
Right.
and because the SNU are a religion, when we do a prayer,
Mhm.
we are obliged to refer to a deity. So if I'm doing the opening prayer, I would say, "Dear Heavenly Father, divine light," because I don't believe God is a person or a man sitting in the sky. God to me is
It's
consciousness. And out of that consciousness, we were created. Therefore, we are God and we are creators, which is why we can create our own reality. It's why demons appear in your head, because you create them. We create our experiences far more than we realise. So, when you go back to spirit, you'll go through a process of looking back over your life, and you won't be judged by God. There's no jury, there's no person sitting there going, "Okay, you did this, and for your crimes, this is what's going to happen to you." You judge yourself. But what you need to understand is when you go back to spirit, you're looking at everything you've done, everything, from a position of love. And from a position of like knowing everything about the entire universe. So the things you do down here, which are unacceptable to us. So take a paedophile or a murderer or someone who I don't know, someone who sells bombs, countries, something horrible.
A bad person.
But I mean really, I don't mean someone who shoplifts. I mean like someone who does truly
Terrorist, right?
unthinkable, rapists, all of those things.
Yeah.
Rapist, paedophile.
And when they're
Yeah,
down
yeah,
here,
yeah.
when they're down here, they probably don't feel good about what they do. But somehow they justify it in their physical brain. When they go over to spirit, they will judge themselves. And that may not sound like a big deal to you, but if you've ever felt true remorse about anything, multiply that by thousands, and you'll be somewhere in the region of how it feels. And the reason I can say this with confidence is because I'm sure I've told you guys this story before, but for the benefit of people watching, I did a service
And me.
once.
I have
Oh, okay. So I did a service once, and I wasn't even meant to do the service. It was another medium who was there, but she'd done her philosophy, and she really was a philosophy medium, really more than a spiritual medium. So she used to do a lot of talking about really interesting things about spirit. But then she gave a few messages and said, "I'm done." We still had 40 minutes to go, and I was sitting at the back of the church. So the chair said, "Gloria, could you come down and just do the rest of the dance?" So I said, "Yeah, okay." And I'd had this guy in my peripheral for a few weeks, and I thought it was odd because I didn't know I was going to be doing any readings or any services. There was nothing coming up. So I got to the front of the church, and he was here again. So I described him, and
Oh, so it wasn't actually there physically.
you can see him in my side, but I placed them.
Right, I got you.
And I
Okay.
could see him next to me. I
Right.
can still see his face. He was so clear. So I described him, and I couldn't say from rostrum what he'd done. All I could say was he'd done such unthinkable things. I can't say
Whilst he was on Earth.
whilst he was on earth.
As a-
Yeah, I can't say from him what that is. Then someone put their hand up at the back of the church, and I said, "He's come to say sorry," and she went, "Right." And I said to her, "Are you okay for me to work with you?" Because this guy was not nice when he was down here. And she said, "Well, it's not for me, it's my friend, but she won't want to hear from him." I said, "Okay, I can ask him to leave." And she said, "No, I want to hear what he's got to say." So the guy was saying he didn't want forgiveness, he didn't deserve forgiveness, he knew what he'd done. Even while he was doing these things, he knew it was wrong. And I can say he was a sex offender. He was a child sex offender. He never got caught. And anyway, so I couldn't give all of that out from rostrum. All I could do was give out little bits of descriptions and how this lady knew him and how her friend knew him, like he was an uncle, but like he wasn't married, what he did for a job. But I did say to her, he has so much more he wants to say, so I'm going to ask him if he will stick around. I don't like to do this from rostrum because it feels a little bit like, oh God, I'm such a good medium, I'm just going to make him wait and I'm going to talk to you afterwards. But I really couldn't give this stuff out from rostrum, so I asked him to just wait around so I could speak to her afterwards. And then he gave me such a pain in my chest. It hurt. It was so painful. It went through my chest, through my back, over my shoulders, up my neck, down my arm, down my other arm. And I thought, okay, he must have passed with a massive heart attack. So I said to this lady, one last thing before I ask him to just step to one side. Could you confirm, please, that he would have passed with a heart condition or a heart attack? And she said, no, he didn't have anything wrong with his heart. So then I thought, they're going to have to call an ambulance. I'm actually having a heart attack in front of the congregation. By this point, my eyes were watering. I was really breathless. I was thinking, this is so embarrassing. Not, oh my God, I'm going to die. So I said, you sure he didn't have anything wrong with the heart? She went, no, he didn't die of that. So I just said, right, if this is you, you need to take it away. And it went. And I thought, oh, is that luck? Or is there something wrong with me? So I said to him, why have you given me that? I said to her, just wait a second. I'm going to go back and ask him why he's given me this sensation in my chest if this is not how he passed. He said to me, I have given you a physical manifestation of the remorse I am carrying in spirit.
Really?
And I have got to process this. He said, I am here because I've got to apologise. I know I'm not going to be forgiven, but I have got to I've got to be accountable for what I've done. And so I gave this to the lady and she just went, my friend's not going to care. And he went, it doesn't matter, I've got to do this. Anyway, after the service I sat and spoke to the lady and gave her some more information, and her friend wasn't the only victim and there were others, and he was never caught, and her friend was going through hell now and had been since the incidents. And he said he was going to have to try and find a way of getting in touch with every single victim, all of them,
Really?
either from spirit, and if he couldn't, he would have to wait for them to pass, go through it with them over there, and only then would he be able to start progressing in spirit. So don't think
So
for
he
one
was holding
second.
himself in limbo, basically.
Not limbo, no, he was in the spirit world, but his pain was only his carry. Like, there's no, I don't know, maybe there is support for people going through this. Maybe they offer some form of therapy. I can't think of another word. But he told me, whether he's making up or not, I don't know, he'd have no reason to. He cannot move on. He can't make any progress in the spirit world because we progress when we're here, we progress in all of our incarnations, and we progress when we're over there. And he's saying he cannot go from where he is until he has made his peace with everyone. Whether they forgive him or not, he has got to go through that process. Now imagine if there were lots of young children, he's got to wait for them to grow up, get through their lives, and then pass. Now in spirit, there's no time.
Yeah.
But that I can't imagine that weight. I can't describe it. I have no words to describe the pain he gave me. I really thought I was having a heart attack. I really did, and I thought that's how he passed. So
What is
I
it-
am confident.
But isn't that a good thing that he's
Yes.
going through that because of what he's done to them young
Yes,
kiddies?
Yeah.
absolutely. And I gain, I don't say a lot of comfort, because how can you gain comfort from that? But I do, it makes me feel better to know there is retribution for the things you do down here. But it would have been easier if he'd stood in the dock over there and God had gone, right, you're going to sit in hell prison for 10 years. Because that's done and dusted then. He can go, oh well, I've had my punishment, that's it. This man is living through his remorse.
But so are his victims. They're having to live through their
And that's
physical
and
life.
that is exactly why he has to go through it.
But when let's say one of his victims gets to 70-year-old has an all right life for what's happened.
Yeah.
They come to time to try and live with it, and then
But it is
Well,
possible to
let's
go
say-
on and have a normal life after that.
let's say they pass into the spirit world.
At 70, yeah.
Yeah, I'm using
Whatever,
that
yeah.
as an age.
Yeah.
They live their life and they pass
Yeah.
into the spirit world. Will their pain then leave?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
But, and I don't know if
That's
this is
interesting.
my guess, and this is absolutely only a thought. I don't know if it's right or wrong. I have no
Their mental
confirmation
pain
and
I'm
no
talking
proof.
about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course that will go. part of that process when they get over there could be letting him have it, you know. This is what you did to me, and in seeing him fully understand what he's done will help them to recover as well.
I'd rather let them have it in the physical world.
And I get that.
Sorry.
But that's because you are a physical being, so you are thinking
In terms
with
of
your physical brain.
physicality, not.
But I tell you, if you had experienced what I had
Oh, I
experienced,
can imagine.
that
Well, I can't imagine it's
so that was quite a few years ago. That was a long years ago. He's been carrying that all this time still,
Good.
and he will continue to.
Good.
Like you said,
And it doesn't matter. And even if you do anything to anyone in the physical, they've still got to face that
I mean,
in spirit.
we've all done stuff. Not being funny, but we've all done stuff bad in our incarnations, right? That's why sometimes when you reincarnate, you have to go through certain things, you know, to put these things right, or to gain knowledge, or to learn.
I think there's certain things that people do on Earth, and I'm not going to start naming the actual things what people do.
Yeah.
I think there's certain activities and certain types of people on this Earth that shouldn't be allowed to be reincarnated.
I know, but
shouldn't be allowed to pass into the spirit world. They should be held in some sort of place with their own.
Well, some are,
And
because they
just
but passing into
come
the
off,
spirit
basically.
world.
Sorry for getting a bit emotional about
No,
that.
but passing into the spirit world isn't a choice. It's not a thing where it's scientific. It's
Yeah, but
just
surely
what
there
it is.
must be some sort of powers that be that could just go right.
No, we are the powers that be. We are God.
Well, so we are our own entity.
We are the consciousness. And when we go back to
right.
spirit, we go back to the whole. Now this guy won't be back with
I
the
would say I would say if there's any way you can quantify this. Now you remember Red Dwarf?
No, I never watched it.
I mean,
No, believe it or not, I didn't.
What? Who
I
are you?
know, and I should have done.
right, well,
Should have
this
done,
ain't going to make sense then.
No, but I have heard of it, and I've heard people talk about
Right,
it.
so one of the episodes, there's they get chased by this droid that had gone to the end of time. It found out there was no whatever he was looking for, and basically he was like his only purpose is to judge people on the lies that they led, and when he catches up with Rimmer, Lister, and Cat and
Yeah, I know.
Right.
I know some of them. Yeah.
right, so basically when he catches up with them, they suddenly realise it's them that's judging themselves.
That was the Inquisitor, wasn't it?
That's it, the
I remember
Inquisitor.
that one.
Yeah,
That's funny.
and that's quite a good analogy into my mind. Is that the one person's going to judge you is you.
I mean,
Because when you come to earth, you are pure.
Mm.
You can't contaminate.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can't contaminate your spirit. You can't contaminate your soul. It will always be pure. It will always vibrate at a much higher frequency than we do on the physical. So when that goes back and it takes the memories of what it's done back with it, those memories are so low on their vibrations that they have to work. You have to work through it in order to make yourself worthy, if you like, of being part of that greater consciousness.
Yeah, but you've got people. Sorry, Roo. Now go on, mate. You go on. You say. You say. You can tell.
toilet,
Oh, okay.
Sorry, mate.
Toilet break. He's at that age now.
Bless him.
But surely there's. I mean, I'm speaking on behalf of the people. I don't know.
Yeah,
public.
yeah.
The people.
The people.
And the people's conduit. Surely there's bad people on this earth
Yeah.
that actually think what they're doing
Yeah.
is right.
Yeah.
And they come up with bull poo
They'll
excuses
justify it.
to justify
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it's just the narcissist and the
Yeah,
gaslighter.
But
and
that's
all that.
because we have been given
but
free
surely,
will.
surely if they go up into the spirit world, when they
Yeah.
pass up into the
Because
spirit
they're
world,
too fixed on.
they could be like, actually, no, what I did was right, so yeah, I'm good. I'm not going to live with this.
But
in the
it's
spirit
like
world.
Yeah,
No,
like-
but they won't.
No,
They won't.
No.
That's
Because
what scares
Okay,
me.
so
They
what
might
you
get
got-
away with it.
no,
in
what
life.
you have to
they won't
understand-
excuse- they won't be able to excuse
If you
themselves.
so when you're born, you are born with a completely your spirit.
So I
is
thought there was
pure.
some. I thought there was some sort of. When you do something, let's say you do something to an innocent child, or you do something
Yeah.
bad, or you're like a paedophile or whatever. I use paedophile because they're the lowest pieces of shit on earth, to be fair, so I find that
Don't
one, so-
swear.
Sorry, but it just
Oh, no.
wind me up, you know what I mean? They
Right.
prey on the innocent.
Okay.
What? I always thought that there was something up there, that when they're down here, when they go up there, because what they've done is to the innocent,
Yeah.
completely innocent,
Yeah.
that there's no retribution, there's no forgiveness. It's like you're going to suffer for the rest of eternity in your spirit world now. And if you are going to reincarnate, you're going
It's
to
like the
reincarnate
fire
as a,
glory.
That
As
would
an
make
amoeba.
that would make no sense, would it? Because then we would lose the greater consciousness, because eventually
well, that's kind
someone
of
will have an incarnation where they do something really bad, and then and that will be the destruction of all that beauty. And when you go back to spirit, your soul is pure again. Your memories aren't. Everything you've done goes with you, but your soul is love and it is light, and that's why it really hurts when you look at what you've done, because you're looking at it from a position of love, not just love that we understand, which is conditional.
But how can those sort of people
Absolute
have love?
Right, okay, so if you
How are they
say,
capable of that?
okay, so let me just ask you something.
Yeah.
If we're going on this, you get punished for what you do.
Yeah.
Maybe, and I'm really playing devil's advocate here because I do not, under any circumstances, condone paedophilia.
No.
Why do certain kids end up being victims? Is it because in a past life they were one? You can have the same argument,
Yeah.
and that does not rest well with me. It might be exactly how it works out.
Actually,
I prefer to believe that because we have been given free will, we misuse it, and some people become victims of the misuse
I
of
mean,
our free will.
probably,
And that's why that you should always be given the chance to repent and show remorse and
I was going to
become-
say, and
Okay.
another prime example, I'm going to get back on topic slightly.
Yeah. Well,
A prime example, what you just said was Pat Tate.
oh my, yeah, I can't believe he was a. I can't believe all the things people have said about him since I did that, because he did not come through with
Have I
that
missed somebody with it?
energy at all.
If you watch if you watch the one where Gloria brewed himself and went down the lane with Karen.
Karen, yeah.
Watch what Gloria was saying, which kind of goes back to what I was saying about having the mediums that are genuine, because when they go into something like that, they don't want any prior knowledge of what went on, so they can't be sort of
Swayed.
yeah, that's it. So, yeah, what Gloria was coming out with when Pat was talking to her, I come away from that lane liking Pat. I come
I
away.
didn't dislike him. He was right. So he came through like a real gentle giant. He was built like a brick toilet house. But he really felt very protective. I felt really safe, and it was really because he said, I think he said something like, "We did bad things and we deserved it. We were victims," or something along those lines. But hearing not hearing him, but hearing him in my head saying that, he was like, "You don't strike me as someone who would do bad things. You're a very gentle man." And so I've spoken to people since and said, "Yeah, I went down to Rendlesham, no, not Rendlesham, Bettendon. Went down to Bettendon with all the people and we did this and they've gone, was it scary?" And I've gone, "Not really." And they said, "Well, he was a nasty bit of work. They deserve that. He killed people. He was a drug baron. He was this, he was that."
Pat never killed him.
I would never. Well, I don't know.
I know the other two responsible.
Okay,
for
that's
some
fine.
things, but Pat,
But the way they talk about him, like he was just an absolute monster. And believe it or not, I haven't actually bothered to research it because, as horrible as it sounds, I'm still not that interested in the story.
no.
It's just not my
But
thing. But
you
I would
really
never
were
have said.
perfect to take down there because you had no interest in it.
Yeah, I
You
would
can just
never
like-
have said this guy was a criminal or part of a gang or even carried a gun. He just did not have that energy at all. And that to me says, when did it happen? 90 something?
95, yeah, it'll be 30
So-
years this year.
Right, so 30 years this year. In those 30 years, I know there's no time in spirit, they're always in the now. But in our 30 years, however long that is over there, he must have done some reparation or something because that was not the energy of a nasty man.
Really?
Yeah. In fact, when I was
I'm
standing,
surprised at that.
you were there, weren't you? And I was standing here, and the
Yeah,
car must have been somewhere over there. If you had
that's right, yeah.
And there were trees behind
That's
me,
right.
I could feel him behind me, and I just thought, God, I feel so safe.
Yeah.
It was just
Cool.
bizarre. It was weird. It was weird.
Yeah.
So
So-
yeah, so, and I didn't feel any pain. I didn't feel like he was carrying any remorse or anything. So maybe there's a fast track for people who really.
Well, I
don't
said,
know.
you know, I mean, Pat did some bad things, but he never killed anyone. And when you read some people's comments about Pat, I said it was the drugs that done it. It was the drugs that made him a monster. He wasn't a nasty person. He could do nasty things, but he wasn't inherently nasty.
And maybe that's the difference: is that you can be just a normal person who does bad things, or you can be inherently bad
Yeah.
and do bad things. I think that's the difference between someone like Pat, perhaps, and a paedophile or a murderer or a,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm talking nonsense. I don't
Well, I think it's a
understand
fair
the human
assumption,
psyche.
but yeah,
I get that. I get that.
as I say, so going back a couple of general examples, that was one. Now, obviously, you guys know from the channel all the work I've done on the retina and stuff, so I know quite a lot about what went on with Gloria and Rudy didn't, and what Gloria was coming out with was accurate, you know, which I could confirm after it was come out, rather than I never said anything to either of you.
It was hard though because I didn't
Yeah.
know what I was talking about.
Yeah, so
All the
you
names I'm
didn't.
like, what is that then?
You didn't, but those people, you know, myself and other people watch channel who have
Yeah.
died
So this is all
shooting
this is all valid for headline and the topic we're actually.
it. Oh yeah,
doing,
this
isn't it?
goes
It's all
back
like
into
for
it.
mediumship.
Yeah.
And
But
I-
people
I
did
was
question
able to
me
confirm.
after the video was put on YouTube. Some people said, "Oh, I don't believe that woman knew nothing about it," and I don't mind people questioning me.
Yeah, they couldn't believe
As a
you weren't
medium,
interested.
I want to be held accountable, and I want to be able to validate what I say. It's really, really important. So I don't have a problem with anyone questioning me on that.
Yeah, cool.
As I say,
Or
as somebody who had a lot of knowledge about the event, but didn't say a word to Rudy
Yeah.
or Gloria, I was able to validate what
Yeah.
they were saying.
Did you have any feelings that night?
Yeah, you didn't know.
I did, yeah, but I just, you know, I mean, like, I wasn't that sort of interested
Right.
because it was something that, you know, because it was a nasty thing. It was quite, you know, you could feel the.
So you had, that's quite interesting because you had quite opposite feelings.
Well, the mediums
Two
were
different people. That's weird,
mediums
that.
work differently. You know, you get
Okay.
some that, you know, that are in. I mean, I knew there was nastiness there. You know, some violence there. I knew there was deaths there. You know, and I did say a couple of things that I got there, but
So do you think you were picking up actually what went on that night?
well, yeah. I mean,
Pretty much.
Oh,
Not what went on through them people's lives, but you were picking up more on the actual
yeah.
area of what
Yeah,
happened that night.
There was a
Yeah.
couple
And
of
you were
things
more
that-
in.
yeah.
You were more.
You was getting direct from
With
Pat,
direct
wasn't you?
into
Yeah,
Got
so
it.
mine would have
Right,
been,
got
I
it.
guess, considered as a direct
Got it.
link,
Yeah,
and yours would have
You was
been
getting
picking
on overall.
psychically up the energy of the
Yeah,
area.
I was
Oh,
picking the
that's
energy up,
interesting,
and,
that.
Yeah.
she was obviously connected to one of the
Yeah.
spirit there. You know, and
Interesting.
so yeah, I mean,
There
as
was
I
a
say,
guy who ran off. I still don't
That's
know who
right,
he is.
yeah.
That was very strange.
yeah, that one we didn't sort of get to the
No.
bottom of, but it's something for another day. So yeah, I mean, that was a good example. I mean, yeah, there were people coming saying, I can't believe I didn't know anything about
And
it.
it's fine.
And I said, you know, and I said at the time, I was actually up in Scotland when the shooting went off. Working for PC World, I was doing a week or two up in Glasgow.
Put you out of the frame.
Yeah, 'cause one or two people said,
That's why you've been trying to accuse someone
Yeah.
else.
one or two people said, "Well, yeah, you know a lot. Yeah, I've got an alibi in Glasgow, so weren't they?
Oh, dear.
But yeah, you know, I said, like, you know, it come up on the news, and you're like, hey, you know, that's gone on in, you know, our neighbourhood, and that was that. Didn't really pay it any more attention until, you know, 5 years ago now, when it was the 25th anniversary, and even then it wasn't an immediate. I didn't look at that immediately. That was a product of looking at another murder that happened, but we knew the events of it, rather I did, which I probably still might take you down here, because the anniversary will be in August.
What's that?
What's that?
Can
It's,
you say that on screen?
yeah, I've already covered it.
Where we go?
It's only down Thorpe Bay.
So, you mentioned this the other
Yeah,
week.
the aircraft battery.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes, there was a murder there. You said.
That's
Oh,
right, yeah.
What's going on there?
Yeah, the full details I know, and it's on the internet. So
I
it'd be
don't know.
interesting.
I don't know anything about that. So
No, I'm not going to say anything
Mate,
more.
I've always had them after live. It's really
Okay.
interesting.
Or rather, I'd tell
Oh
you
no, if we're
after.
going down there,
Oh,
no,
after, yeah,
don't
yeah.
tell us.
No, I won't tell
Don't
you
tell us
anything,
anything.
but
Don't tell us
yeah.
anything.
I'll confirm, deny, whatever after we.
I won't say it then, no.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Mate,
I picked up some interesting
Otherwise,
stuff
I
and
will.
I've done that.
I'll start
Interesting.
thinking in my mind.
Yeah. So that's what pricked my interest in the murders. It wasn't the retina stuff specifically. It was right. I've done this. Let's see what other interesting things have happened in the area. And it was the retina murders that come up. Bloody hell! Yeah, I remember that.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? It was something that happened at the time. It was like crumbs.
Crumbs.
Yeah.
Crumbs.
Oh, crumbs. Yeah, that's happened.
Ooh.
It's
And
terrible.
you're like, right, move on. You know.
Not
Yeah.
everyone has had seen crumbs.
Yeah. You know, I wasn't obsessed with anything with it. It was only when I got to learn about it, I thought, oh, this has been worth a look. And that's where we are. So, yeah, I mean, going back to that, you know, there's an example showing genuine mediumship, and then going back to Pam, you know, just sitting in the
Yeah.
car.
Yeah.
My mum just randomly come through. Pam described it to a T.
Medium.
Yeah, just medium. I'll
Oh,
tell
the
you that.
lady that you.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
take that.
yeah, yeah. Sorry, yeah.
She's lovely. I really
Yeah,
like her.
yeah, good
That's
character.
great. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, you know that is another example of where genuine mediumship. There was not, you know, we were talking about spiritual stuff, but it just randomly, hello, mum, straight through.
Have we got any questions or comments
So
from the lovely people?
yeah. Any comments or whatever, please do so.
Have we got anything new?
The last one I've got was hello, Gloria, and
Oh,
Chris
who was
can
that?
be
Who
Jeff.
said hello?
That was Neil.
Oh, I don't know.
Has anyone got any questions or
Yeah.
anything? That
Oh, you
There's a
have you all
far away.
fallen asleep?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we were just rambling
Well,
on
we're
here.
just sitting here babbling
It's
away.
been fascinating for me.
But I would say, as a little word of advice, if you are going to a service and or a dem or anything like that, a lot of me, and I've done this myself, although I'm always very open about it because I'm not a cheat. Some mediums will profile. So what makes me laugh is when a medium will go, "I'd like to come see what they did back there," and she's like in her 90s,
Yeah.
it's oxygen tank.
Yeah.
They go, "Is your gran in spirit?"
That goes back to what you were saying.
Yeah.
So
the probe
what
for
mediums
questions.
do is
Profiling.
I'm
That's
not
what I'm
saying
all
they
about
all
then,
do
yeah.
it, but mediums profile. When I say I do it, I don't do that. But when I do a dem, I've got no sat nav. I don't know where I'm going, so I rarely go direct.
Yeah.
But I'm lucky enough that because I'm able to see who's here, I can give a pretty good description, and then they'll give me some information to go with it, and I'll just say, "Can anyone take it?" But sometimes while I'm talking, I'll see a couple of people in the congregation going, "Oh," or someone over there might be going and sit up, and I think, "Okay, maybe I'm over there." Not because I know I'm over there, but because I can see how people are reacting, and I will go to the person and go, "Am I with you?" And they'll go, "Yeah," and I'm like, "Yeah, I saw your face. I thought I might be." I would never go, "Oh, I know I'm over here. I can sense it," because that to me is just lying, and there's no benefit to it. But there are mediums that do. So what's really important? Poker face.
Yeah.
If you're going to go and see a medium, poker face. Practice not moving your eyes like that or going, or anything. Poker face. I love it when people don't give me anything back. Well, apart from yeses or no's. If they're just going to sit there.
So maybe that's
But
what
it's
I was
really,
getting
really
at them
important.
before.
Yeah.
It's really important not to.
Yeah.
And don't ever feed the medium. So when they go, when they describe something, they go, "I think this might be your gran." If it's your gran, say yes. If it's not your gran, say no. Don't go, "Oh, it might be my great gran. Oh, it could be my mum. It could be my nan's sister." No, we tell you. You don't tell us. We can't prove anything if you give us all the information and we just repeat it back to you.
Yeah.
So as hard as it makes our job, I actually prefer those because I can go back and clarify. And
Yeah.
it's
That's
and
probably
even
what
with me,
And
it's,
even with me, you know, I get, you know, I get presented with images and, you know, gut feelings and, you know, and I've got people, you know, like Ian was wrong, you know, when we went round to the house,
oh, the modern one.
not the Malden one, no, the in Southend. Oh no, I was on my own. Sorry, I went to visit my friend.
Oh yes, you told me. Yeah.
But I didn't know his dad was in spirit. I
That's
didn't
right,
know
yeah.
his dad was passed, but I felt a grandfather energy around his youngest. which was his side, and it was his dad's past. Like, I didn't know, you know, but that's what I picked up when I went round there.
Yeah.
And then there was someone at one of my pubs was talking about this stuff, and you know,
Or when you were working
yeah, I was literally packing up, and I was talking to one of the girls that worked there, and I said, like, I said, I'll fill your nans with you. I said, fill that, and I'll just keep getting this. I went, hats. And she's like, I don't know, you know, it's on me. When she went back to her mum, she said, yeah, my nan wore hats all the time.
Oh.
So, you know, I just said, like,
And that's really cool.
so, yeah, take
And
it.
often the information they get when they go back and ask someone means way more than you just giving it to them while they're sitting there. So it's the stuff they can sort of validate after they've gone.
Mm.
It's really good.
Yeah.
I think that's really important.
Yeah, you know, it's just basic stuff like that. You know, there's times I've felt something and said it to someone, it has been wrong.
So, yeah, but if you want
Some balance, what I've said to people has been
if you want
right.
to clarify some stuff, I mean, like I said, if you do your meditation and get yourself into a kind of, you know, kick all the crap of the day out of your head and just relax and
Yeah.
try and let, you know, calm yourself.
Yeah.
And be still. You know, it might come clearer. You know, you can ask the questions and see what happens.
Yeah.
You know.
So I mean that applies to you all as you know, as well as myself and others. But you know, as I say, going back to mediums, exactly what Gloria was saying. You know, keep a poker face. I mean, if you're going to see someone, try and if they've got a history and what the reviews are like.
And I think,
so you
yeah,
get it,
that's a good point. And also, if you're expecting to hear from certain people or, you know, certain things, don't be disappointed if you don't get that,
Yeah.
because it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, don't go in with expectations.
It may work in a one-to-one meeting because that's more tailored to you. And there's only so much you can give off from rostrum because there's a lot of people in the room. So you have to be really careful about.
Yeah, I mean,
What you give.
you get cross what I call cross talk when you're giving when you're on the platform and you're going to somebody and someone says that sounds like my that sounds like my you know, uncle, and you think, oh, maybe I'm with them then, you know, and so you can get sort of, you know, you have you have to define which one is which and who you with,
Most people
basically.
would recognise a dark-haired man,
Mm.
you know, average height, jumpers and jeans. You're going to have
Yeah.
3 or 4 people put their hand up.
Yeah.
And
So
then you have to bring
be
something
really
through more
you have to bring something
specific
more
Yeah.
specific,
to
which
be
is,
slightly
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
which is 100%.
And any medium worth their salt, when they get a no, they will go back and ask them why they've been given it, or what it could mean. And yeah, I mean, I'm very critical of my mediumship, and I'm actually very critical of other people's.
Well, yeah, I know you are.
Which
I mean,
but I am.
it's like when I was explaining to you, Jeff, about you know, your place and where everything was. I was quite shocked about that. I haven't been in your place.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Well, that's what
to be
that's
fair,
what
you got it
called
pretty
remote June,
It's
isn't it?
remote. Yes, and that's,
It's,
it's
that's
another.
another
If
factor.
you're
another-
getting it from spirit, it's them giving it to you. If you're
Right.
sitting and
Yeah,
astral projecting, that's different.
yeah.
But if
Yeah,
you're giving
so-
someone a reading, you don't astral project
Yeah.
what you're doing.
See, this is it. This is different facets of
Yeah.
things that are in the mix that you can incorporate into your, you know, whole gifts to help.
So
you
the word mediumship is just like one big umbrella with offshoots of different
Yeah,
types.
pretty
really.
much,
basically,
yeah.
yeah, pretty much, yeah, yeah.
But in layman's terms, I'm just giving it that.
Yeah, you just, yeah.
Easy to understand.
Yeah.
Cool. But I found that fascinating, that hearing about
Good Pat.
Pat thing,
Mm.
that you felt a different sort of thing and you felt a different sort
Yeah,
of
because
thing.
we were.
I just found that fascinating.
Rudy
I
was
really
picking
do.
up on
Really
the
good.
energy,
Of the
the
area.
residual energy
Yeah, I
in
was,
the
I was
place.
concentrating. I suppose, yeah, I was picking up more, like Gloria said, I was concentrating on that. Well, Gloria was actually, you know, connecting to the.
Good Pat.
Which absolutely wasn't intentional, and I didn't really think I'd get anything, to be honest. And I got to be honest, when I got there, I didn't feel very much at all, other than it felt too wide.
Yeah.
The
Well,
space
you
felt
was
too
right.
wide.
Yeah, too.
And I felt cold, but it wasn't until we walked down, you know, where the memorial bit is,
Yeah.
past the little, I don't know, there was a little bit of something on the floor. that's when I started to feel really scared. And that's
Yeah.
when that guy just appeared,
So,
started
yeah.
running across the field. But then he went, so I don't know who he was. Or
Maybe
what
weren't connected
he
at all.
wanted.
Who knows?
But that was that. No, he might not have been. He might
No,
have just been
I mean,
from some
Might be just
other.
someone
I
in
mean,
the field just.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to interject with that. I mean, you know, we said before about layers. You know,
Yes.
obviously
it's
that's
all
the event
different.
everyone knows it for,
Yeah.
but other things have gone on there during the midst of time. When I went down there the first time with Paranormal Essex, we was doing the Estes, and Rob was doing the Estes, and he said about a girl being there the night,
Okay.
and then I picked up on her. I said she's nothing to do with this. That's a separate incident.
Yeah.
So that could have been happened centuries ago, couldn't
Yeah,
it? Who knows?
this is it.
That's
This
what
guy
you
was
mean,
in
change-
jeans and a t-shirt
That's what I mean. You go
and
on
a
layers,
jacket,
yeah.
so I'm guessing he wasn't from centuries ago. But I don't
No.
know. I mean,
Probably dressed
anything to do with that.
Yeah,
But
When you're going on any investigation using clairvoyance or whatever mediums, you're always transversing different layers, and you're that's what you got to try and nail down to a specific
Yeah.
timeline.
yeah.
I mean, I get the sense that girl that I helped pass over, she was from sort of a couple of 100 years back.
Really?
Yeah, I've got
Well,
the
the one-
sense
the
that
one
was
in-
an older.
The one in the one that was in that that was home. Where is it? Is it now?
Well, that one, that girl that was in Mettenden,
Oh, right.
that was what Rob picked up, and then I've sort of shit. Yeah, I can feel that. And when I went back on the second occasion, it was as much to get any more information, but yeah, I wanted to go back and get more info, but it was as much to help her, and she was really impatient. Well, I think she cut me mic.
Oh, they can do that.
Yeah, and
Play about your cameras.
one or two other things went on, but it was, and I'm like, I'm trying to tell her, be patient. I need to do this first, and then I will get to you. I will promise you 100% I will come and deal with you. I need to deal with this first.
I remember when I was sitting here minding my own business, and Gloria was talking about her friend, one of her friends, space friend I call him,
Oh yeah,
and he suddenly came over, he suddenly took over me, and
Yeah.
I thought, well, that was unexpected.
Yeah.
I weren't asleep or anything, I was
No,
still
just-
awake, but it just moved my mind to one side and started saying, because Gloria's asking questions, she said, oh, I really want to, I might be imagining these
questioning,
things.
yeah,
And
questioning
she
the
was
guy.
questioning this, and he said, no, you're not, I'm here.
Mm.
And I
That was, yeah.
thought that was really funny.
But I mean, that was another example
And
of
he cut
equipment.
all your equipment
Yeah.
off, didn't
I
he?
kept cutting my camera.
It's easy to manipulate electrical equipment because we are all electricity. And
That
that's
is very
exactly
true,
what.
yes.
And,
It
they
was-
just vibrate, don't they?
it was a
So-
very localised cut. It
Yeah.
was directly on the
And,
tablet.
and there must have been a lot of energy there that's interfered with your equipment.
And
to
I
do that.
remember I was feeling like it was like it was like someone was doing that in my hair.
Just the old thing.
I'm going to be spiritual detective here in a minute. While you've been talking, I've been thinking about something. At Rettenden, and I'll keep going back to this, but this is bloody fascinating. You said there was another person there, but in jeans and a t-shirt, and he'd run away.
Yeah, but he didn't. So when I link in with spirit, normally I can see them.
Yep.
And I can that they'll show me, I don't know where they live or what they pass, or they'll give me a sensation what they pass me. This person was scared and he was running, but he showed me as if I was him. So it was me running. I could feel, that weird
Yeah,
burning
yeah.
you get when you can't
Yeah.
Yeah,
breathe and
yeah,
it hurts
yeah.
here. He was doing that and he was running towards a light. It was like a farmhouse. Like, so as we're here and the memorial thing's there, it's like
That
he
could have
ran
been Ken
that
Jiggins.
way.
Yeah,
But the only house I saw was over that side, up on the hill.
Yeah,
He
that's-
wasn't
that,
going
that
that
could have
way.
that could
He
have
was
been
going in the opposite direction.
that could have been Ken Jiggins or Peter Theobald.
I
one
don't
of
even
the
know
two
who they are.
farmers. It could have been.
Right.
But it might
My,
have been someone else.
my,
Also,
right, hang on, you might be able to tear this up with me in a minute.
I'll tell him. Okay.
No, because he was in jeans and a t-shirt.
No, he was wearing a jacket, but he was just normal, dressed normal.
Just normal,
Yeah.
right. When the incident happened, it was winter time and there was snow on the ground.
That's right.
Yeah.
So was he addressed appropriately for that, or
Oh, yes, so you get it.
Or can you just see them as a normal person, or do you see them as what they were wearing at that
He had,
time?
right, okay, so I can still remember what he looked like. He had very little hair, like really close crop, maybe a number 2. He was light coloured hair. He was athletic build, I'd say. He had a white t-shirt on, blue jeans, and like a black jacket, like with an elastic waist, like not a bomber
yeah,
jacket.
I know what you
But
mean.
it was almost like silky material,
Yeah,
like you
I
used
know.
to get in the
Well,
Yeah.
like a shell
Yeah.
suit kind of thing.
No, not that bad.
Not that fancy.
But like,
Not bad. I had a shell suit.
yeah, well, I'm wrestling case. But it was and he had a watch. He had a big watch.
Mm.
But it was the running. Like I could feel the burning in my throat. It's like I can't breathe anymore. I need to stop running.
Could you remember
It was
what
going.
height? Could you remember? Would you give her? Could you put a height on him?
The average height for a bloke. He wasn't particularly tall or particularly short. He just
Right.
looked like
But
a
you
bloke.
didn't see him with your eyes, did you? You saw him with your mind's
I
eyes.
see him. So I see with my. I see in my mind usually.
Yeah.
But
That's the way I see it.
then I place them, or maybe they place themselves, so they're normally next to me.
Mm.
So I can see them.
Yeah.
I can see through. It's weird.
It's like an
really
overlay, isn't it? On your.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I get.
So I walked past that little spot, and I said to Paul, I feel I don't. What's gone on here? I don't like it. I feel really scared. And I walked back again, and it went. And then I walked back to as soon as I got to that little line of grass, it came back again. So I kept going because I thought, okay, something's here. And that's when I saw the guy and the running and the light. It was dark when he was running, and the light was on in the farmhouse.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
It's
A
the
house
one
like-
on, it was the one on the
It
hill,
wasn't the
it?
one on the hill.
Oh,
He was
was it?
going in the opposite direction.
Oh,
So
was it? Oh, right.
he came out and went that way, like across all the across the farmers' fields. And they were all like rutted and hard.
Yeah.
But
Right.
yeah.
For some reason the messages ain't coming up on my tablet, so I'm just going to go
Oh.
quick.
So we've been running and people have been waiting to ask me.
So, well, it's
I'm
only
so sorry.
really Neil, but Neil said about his dad.
That's right. we like it.
Yeah, so just going to go back. Yeah, hello, Gloria and Chris. Can be Jeff tonight. My dad died in October 97. This is Neil still. Could you contact him for me, or doesn't it work like that? That's about Neil's dad.
I have no idea. I will. So okay. So
Right,
I'm doing a
a
dem.
toilet break a sec.
I'm
Okay.
doing a dem
Like the
next
dog
week.
set, so
Oh, God.
With a
When it
psychic
gets
artist,
bullshit.
and normally when I know when there's a dem coming up, I will
Yeah.
get the feeling of sometimes they'll just turn up and be in my peripheral. So I have had a gentleman around me for a while. He may not be for you, but being that you're asking specifically if I can contact your dad, I'm going to describe him for you, and if that's him,
So Neil, if you're still watching,
if is Neil still watching?
I think he is. Yeah.
Okay. So the guy I have is of slim build. He lost weight towards the end of his life, but I don't feel he was ever a big man. As I see him, he doesn't have very much hair. He's quite gaunt on his face. And he's wearing dark clothes. He shows me himself at a distance, and it's almost like a silhouette with a light behind him, and I can see he has a walking stick. Now there's more, but I don't want to give you any more, because if this guy isn't for you, then it's obviously for someone else. But that's a person I've had around me for a while, so I do feel what he passed with would have, it could have been a cancerous condition, but I do feel it would have affected many parts of his body. And as I'm saying this, I'm getting weird sensations around me, so perhaps his organs began to shut down, or there was more than one problem, but I feel it affected more than just one area of him. If that's not you, then I'm sorry I haven't brought your dad through. It can work like that, but we're having a conversation and I've not sat for
Yeah, right.
spirit. And normally if
Yeah.
I'm going to work for spirit, I will sit in the power, which is different to meditating, and I haven't done that. But this guy may have known you were going to ask, and that might be why he's been hanging around. So I'll leave you that description. If you recognise that description, a slim man who would have lost weight towards the end of his life, had quite a gaunt appearance, very little hair, and would have had a stick towards the end. And he's wearing dark clothes. I don't know why he's showing himself in dark clothes. And there's probably a reason he's showing himself at a distance as well. If he's for you, then I can go and ask him for more information. But I'm just going to leave you the description. If that makes sense, then I'll continue working. If not, I'll ask him to wait till next Wednesday, and it's probably for someone in the congregation.
All right. So yeah, Neil, let us know if that's of any help to you. So Neil also said, so you are saying Hitler has a place in heaven?
No, Hitler has gone back to the spirit world because that's where we all go, regardless of what we do down here. And Hitler, I am imagining, is having to make reparation for what he's done. So that horrible, painful weight that I had in my chest, which was absolutely unbearable. I don't even have a word for it. Excruciating. That is not enough.
Take it away, which you did.
That is what he will be carrying as well until
Yeah.
he's either made reparation from spirit with the people down here that he's hurt, or
Yeah.
he's waiting for them all to pass.
Yeah.
And that doesn't just mean the people that he killed, that means the families
Generations.
and the ripple effect.
Yeah.
So his progress is going to be very, very slow. But the great thing about being a high vibrational entity, which is what we all are inside this physical body, is that there is always the opportunity for us to progress. It's open to everyone. You don't have to. You can just sit over there and just live out your remorse and live it forever.
Even the darkest being
Of
has
course.
to progress.
Yeah.
To go up.
So that would kind of, I mean,
There's no value to carrying that weight with you when
Yeah.
you get that there.
so so that will kind of cover your next question about Ted Bundy.
So
Yeah.
I've got no doubts about it. If someone told me that, I'd be like, really? But
Yeah.
I've experienced it. I don't disbelieve that for one second. If there's one thing I'm certain of, it's that.
Yeah.
In all of the spirit stuff.
Yeah, I actually kind of get what you're saying, Neil. Psychopathic people are wired up a little different.
But that's their physical mind.
Yeah.
That's their physical form. What you need
That's
to
not
remember,
spiritual.
it's very, very hard to accept this when you see people doing such god-awful things and unthinkable, incomprehensible things. That is not their soul.
No.
That is their physical manifestation. We, as physical beings, have free will and we misuse it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, if you can flip that, as I said, you know, my mum had bipolar,
Not her
so
fault.
yeah, exactly, it's not her fault.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's a complete flip.
Yeah.
So Neil also said Gloria was a spirit cop.
What?
A spirit cop.
Cop.
Yeah,
Cover me.
Spirit
Yeah.
detective.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Steve Higgins. Hello, Steve. It's a little belated, but hello.
Must be.
Hi guys, interesting chat. I went 3 times to a spiritual centre and unfortunately I found them to not be convincing.
Fair enough.
I felt they were cold reading,
Yeah.
The
Some
plate-
mediums do that,
they
yeah.
do
Yeah.
that, yeah. That
which
was
is what we were saying about
But in fairness, I've done that. So if I start a dem and the link just isn't happening for whatever reason, I will go to someone in the congregation. I don't do this often, like I said, I don't go direct very often. But I'll go to someone in the congregation that I'm drawn to, but I will go in on a psychic link. So I'll look at someone and think, okay, they're struggling at the moment. I'll say to them, right, I feel that you're not in a great place right now, which is a bit of a cop out because
Yeah, anyone can be. in
a lot of
bad
people
place.
come to a spiritualist
Yeah.
church because they're not feeling great.
That's it.
Or sometimes I could go in and be a bit more specific. It just depends on the vibes they give in. But ultimately, a good medium will not just go, everything's going to be okay. They will wait for that link to be established. And spirit respond to your voice. So your family over there will hear your voice and it will fill them with warmth. Just like you're filled with warmth when you hear something from them that cannot be misconstrued or misunderstood, that it's absolutely, you know, it's your loved one. So that's why yeses and no's and don't knows should be spoken and not a nod or a shrug or a shake of the head.
I like to hear
Your
the
voice
voice.
is important,
I like to hear the
absolutely.
voice.
And it maintains and strengthens the link between you and your loved one.
Yeah.
So while I don't agree with cold reading, a lot of mediums employ it if they are struggling to get a link. And I have used that myself, but ultimately I will use it to hear the person speaking and then to say, come on, if you've got someone for this person and you can hear them, then can you come in?
yeah.
But I've had people, I've said loads of things to the person, they've said no, and then a couple of days later, they get back to you,
Yeah.
and they say, everything's just,
Which just
everything
clicked
you
in.
said is
Yeah.
spot on. So why is that?
Yeah, I've had that. Because if you're sitting there and someone says, okay, I've got a Mary, I really don't like people who just reel off names.
You get overwhelming from
Like Mary,
Yeah.
James, Shirley, Peter, John, like, yeah, who doesn't know? But
Mm.
when you say things and like, oh, did he have a red cap? Or I've got a waistcoat that looks like this, or this guy is looking at his shoes, he's got his soles off on his shoe. That person has got to try and remember all those things
Yeah.
about their loved one in spirit, and most of us won't be able to do that about people that live in. So
Also, they go back and do a
And
bit of
that's why I say
research.
to them,
or-
don't dismiss it.
Go back.
Go home
Yeah.
and ask.
Yeah.
If you're right, if I'm right, let me know. If I'm wrong, don't tell anyone.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. I mean, it's like what I was saying with the girl that works at the pub, and I just said to her about the hats, and she didn't have a clue what she's talking about. But when she went back and spoke to her mum,
Yeah.
she said, "Yeah, Nan wore hats all the time." So yeah, always go double check. Yeah, Steve did mention the place, but I won't read it out.
But if you're talking, sorry, if you're talking about cold reading, as in that's the entire message, and they're just reading their facial expressions, and the person is maybe dropping in information they shouldn't, like saying, well, yeah, because my nan actually had cancer, and then the medium goes back and says, oh, I feel they may have had a cancerous condition. Yeah, that's not acceptable. But cold reading at the beginning, some mediums do employ it because you don't always get a perfect link from the start. So it's not wrong, it's just another way of linking in with the person to get their loved ones to come through.
If you don't get a good link, then you just say, I can't get a clear message.
Yeah,
at the
just
moment.
be honest about it. Yeah, so Neil just said the man Rudy, clear as a bell.
The one I've just described.
That was done. That was about 15 minutes ago.
What was
Neil
that?
put that. Yeah, because I'm just catching up on the messages. They weren't coming up on my tablet.
Okay.
And then Steve said the third time I went, the medium in inverted commas spoke to me, and I made sure I kept a straight face.
Good.
And she thought my grandmother was Italian. You should have seen the look on her face when I told her that she was Irish.
Do you look Italian, Steve? Do you have anything about you that that may? Because I've watched mediums who've gone to people who look like they are maybe from Europe, and they've made that assumption.
Yeah, that could have been. It could have been where it came from.
Yeah.
So yeah. Oh, Neil's just come back. That's my dad, Gloria. He was the spirit you've picked up.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So there we go.
I'm always okay. Let me just see if I can work this guy. So, right. So he's saying, would you understand there would have been a distance between you and your dad? Not, I mean, it may have been geographical, but I feel like there was an emotional and a mental distance between you and your father, and he is he's giving me a memory for you. I'm assuming it's for you and not for maybe a brother or a sister, but there is a child on a sofa, and this child is between sort of 8 and 11, certainly not hit the teens yet, but not a little kid. And this gentleman has come in and sat on the sofa with them. I don't know how important this bit is, but I just want to describe the area around the sofa because it may be significant. So opposite, so I'm looking at the sofa sideways like that, so it's going along there. You're sitting on it, or someone is sitting on it there, and this gentleman is sitting here. Opposite the sofa is a window. There's a television to the right of the window, and it's either a corner sofa, but it feels to me like it's not at the edge of the room, or it's is it a buffet? Is that the correct one?
Poof.
Okay, there's a poof thing by the sofa, or there's something that makes the sofa look longer. And this gentleman, the room looks very light to me and quite sparsely furnished, but that might be because they're just trying to draw my attention to what's going on. So this gentleman this must have been a particular day or a conversation that you had, because he is saying that he wanted a hug and you didn't give him a hug. But he now knows that you wanted a hug, but he didn't offer you a hug. And this is important. I don't know if you remember this memory that he's talking about this. I may have got the room a bit wrong. The important thing is that something had happened, or a conversation had happened, or it was a special occasion or something, and you are both sitting on the sofa facing each other, and neither of you are offering the other one a hug. Does that make sense?
It makes sense to me because I could see the two facing each other.
Okay.
I could see that.
I
I could see that image of it. They're just like
Well, come on, I did a pretty
Yeah.
good description.
that was, but I mean, I could see. Yeah, I could see what you're talking
So
about.
if
Just
you can, yeah,
yeah.
if that makes sense to you. In fact, no, even if it doesn't make sense to you, I'm going to tell you what he's saying. He's saying he should have asked you. He should have offered, because it wasn't your job to offer him comfort. And he's saying the relationship you had with him, the way it was not your fault in any way. And I don't know if you know this to be a fact or if there's someone you can ask, but he's saying when he was a child, he didn't have the best childhood, he didn't have many friends, and he didn't feel that he was even liked by his family, really, particularly by the ones on the peripheral, so like the cousins, you know, the people outside of the nucleus of his family. And so instead of working through that as he grew up, he dealt with it by pushing people away and building barriers and pretending that he didn't care, and he became quite aloof. He's also saying that when he had children or grandchildren, whatever, he couldn't even get through his own barriers that he had created to be able to give this love and comfort to the people around him. And he said it was really a painful experience for him. Has he come back and said anything? So I'm just
Neil said I remember it.
Oh my God. Okay. So I'm asking him to take me to how he passed. And he's saying, he's saying, I felt so alone, but I need you to tell me that's wrong, and I'm going to tell you why he's saying it. Either that or I'm getting it wrong. So he's saying, what they're showing me is a room, he's in a bed. It doesn't look like a hospital. It doesn't even look like a hospice. It's a bit too homey for that, but it could have been a nursing home, or it could have been a care home. It just doesn't feel hospital. I'm not sure it was at home. I might have just got that wrong. But I'm looking down on the room, and I don't know why they're showing me like this. And he's saying, I was alone when I passed, or I felt so alone when I passed. So they're showing me people in the room with him, maybe 4 or 5 people, but they're not solid. They're like ghosts almost. So this means one of two things: either your dad didn't have any of his physical family around him when he passed, and what he's showing me are people from spirit who came for him, or there were members of his family there, and this feels right to me. This feels like this fits better, but I might be wrong. There were members of his family there, but they were not mopping his brow or holding his hand. They were waiting for his passing, and they may not have been there at his actual passing. This could have been during the day, and then he passed in the evening, I don't know. But it's almost like he's saying they were not there because they were devastated that he was passing. They were there out of a sense of duty. And he's saying that made him feel very alone. However, and this is really important, this is the most important bit, when he got to spirit, he understood how much he was loved. And that all of the problems he had with giving and receiving love were all his. And he has come to tell you that he takes full responsibility for either the breakdown in your relationship or the fact there was no proper father-son relationship between you. It was all his fault. It was all his hang-ups from his childhood and his life. And he had learned to not ask, because if he pretended he didn't care and he didn't ask, he wouldn't feel rejected. Does that make sense?
Right, he said, I remember it, and Neil said he died coming in the front door.
Oh, see, that's not what I saw.
Okay.
Right, let me just ask him why he's showing me that then. Right, is there someone else either close to you or linked to him that would have passed in a room like that with people around them?
Don't think he'd have already been in that room.
Sorry?
Don't think he'd have been taken to that room.
That's it.
I don't know. I don't want to make this fit, so I'm not going to.
Yeah.
This is
Okay.
what I'm being
That's what you
shown.
get. So
Yeah, this is what I'm being shown. I can't change it. However,
Right.
the important part of this message is that he felt alone when he passed.
Right. Neil does say he died. Right. So he died coming in the front door. He was on his own, and it was a massive heart attack.
Okay, was there a point then where he would have been in a room where maybe he wasn't dying, maybe he was ill, and there were people in the room with him who weren't really paying very much attention? Perhaps it's nothing to do with his death. Maybe this is just a significant part of his life. But I do get a sense that there's people around him, but they're not being attentive.
Okay. Well, waiting for Neil to come
Okay.
back.
So while you think about that,
Oh.
has he come back?
No, I was just saying. While waiting for Neil to come back, Stephen said about.
Right, hang on, let me just give Neil the message because that's important. and then he can come back and tell me afterwards, and we'll try and work out why he's showing that.
Yeah.
The minute what your dad is saying to you that's really important right now is that you are beginning to withdraw and put up barriers. Maybe not with your family, or maybe with your family, or maybe just with friends. Whatever he's saying, there are certain people you are withdrawing from, and he is concerned that you will eventually become like him, because he said once you start doing this, it's very, very hard to stop. And he said it was almost like reclusive with him when it came to like emotional interactions, and he doesn't want you to
Follow the
become
same
like
path.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's being specific, so it must be around a specific thing where you're doing this. And I think he's just a little bit concerned that you're going to start to feel the way he did. And he said it makes for a very lonely life. And he doesn't want you to make that error. So I don't know what the room means. I can see it as clear as day. I can't take it away. So if it isn't him, it must be someone close to him or someone you know that was in this situation. I mean, if he died walking through his front door of a massive heart attack and there was no one around, he would feel alone, but that's not what he meant. It's very difficult to do this online because I can't get an immediate response, and
it's delayed.
Yeah.
But if this is your dad and this guy's for you, then take him. His main message is he's sorry, and he realised that people did love him once he passed, and he doesn't want you to follow the same path as him. So if that makes sense, take it. Hold on to the room where there's people and someone in a bed, and just, if you find out where that makes sense, please do come back in and let me know, because it's so clear I can't take it away.
Right.
Unless it's not his death, it might be someone else's that was important to him.
Yeah.
And that's what he's showing me.
Yeah. Could have been his father's death.
Yeah,
Don't know,
I
but
don't know why he's put that in there,
all right.
if it doesn't make sense.
all right. We'll give another cut. We're coming up to an hour and a half, so just wait for Neil to come back and record it. But just going back.
So what did Steve
What
say?
is
So Steve said, going back to, he said that the medium thought his nan was Italian, and Steve said, I'm dark-haired, pale with blue eyes. And then he said, she said something about a grandmother cooking pasta. How's that to do with the afterlife? I replied, doubt it could have been cooking potatoes. It would have been cooking potatoes.
Does he, I'm not asking you to read it out, has he put the name of the medium?
No, Neil gave the name of the where he had it done, just not the name of who.
Neil gave the name where Steve had it.
No, sorry, Steve gave the place of where he had the readings done, just not who it was.
Can I just ask, is it in the South End area?
No,
Oh, it's not.
no, it's West London.
Oh, I don't know many mediums that go up there. Oh, so does Steve live in London then?
I'll assume so.
Oh, okay. West London. I don't even know what's in West London. My geography is dreadful.
You're not missing much in West London.
If there are any West Londoners watching this, they're going to be really offended by that.
Yeah, sorry. I'm being flippant when I
Talk
said
to me
that.
afterwards, I'll give you Adam's address.
Yeah, I'm being
You can
flippant.
go and blow his butt.
I'm being flippant when I said there's not much in West London. Funny enough, the area he's mentioned, I have DJ'd in a few times. There's quite a large Polish contingent there. But yeah, no, I haven't anything more come back from Neil as yet. But
Perhaps
yeah,
it's not. Maybe it's not for Neil. Perhaps it
Mm.
might just look like he's sad.
Mm.
And this is the thing: in a room full of people, if 2 people put their hands up,
Mm.
or even 3 or 4, eventually you narrow it down to whoever it's for. But
yeah, okay,
But if he remembers that sofa thing, then it must be for him.
yeah.
I just don't know where the man in the bed is.
Ah. Right. Steve says, can't remember the name. No, don't worry, it ain't you. Yes, live in London, visit Leon C. Visit Leon C at weekends where girlfriend lives.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm the area is actually Acton that he was talking
I
about.
don't know. Is it
Yeah,
bad?
I'm kind of I'm kind of familiar with Acton because I've DJ'd there a few times. And my abiding memory of Acton, it's all right, it's reasonable enough area. Just a lot of Polish. It was a lot of Polish. And I believe the pub that I did now has a Polish DJ. So, yeah, if that tells you anything. Yeah.
Maybe he's better.
Well, he plays Polish music, so obviously being English, Polish
I
music
don't
isn't
know what Polish music sounds like.
just same as ours, but with different language.
Okay. I don't know words.
I'm being flippant.
Flipping hell.
Yeah, no, it's like.
Same as ours, but we are Polish.
Well, it's
I don't know
whatever's
what to say.
right. So let's
Yeah.
say, you got Kylie Minogue riding at number 1 in the charts.
No,
Then
don't do a Polish one.
No, I'm not.
Just don't.
no, so
Don't do
whoever's popular in Poland, the Polish equivalent of Kylie, will be at number 1 in Poland. I'm being really offbeat here. It's 10:15, so I'm allowed to be. But whoever the popular Polish artists are, they'll be in the
Yeah,
top.
yeah.
It'll be their top 40 or whatever.
Okay.
But it won't be artists we're familiar with because it's
Poland. Unless
Yeah.
they're in the Eurovision Song Contest.
yes, which
Yay.
I'm giving you a
Yay
get out
for
clause.
Song for Europe.
you now
Is
have
it called a Song for Europe now? Not a Eurovision.
I don't know.
What's it?
Um,
Disappeared. I feel a bit bad.
Steve says he hates the place.
If it does make sense. What accent?
Yeah,
I've never been to
I
Acton.
mean I don't know what it's like now. It seemed alright when I worked there, but that was quite a few years ago. I think I was on my 125. I seem to remember being on my 125. So that would have been 2008, 2009.
To no advice. I just
Yeah, I'm trying to remember
As
what.
soon as you said 125, I was like, okay. No.
I'm trying to remember what vehicle I used to go there with.
Okay.
So
BMX.
I'd say it would have been better. I seem to remember using my 125. So
I used to drive to Acton because my mate's a musician and he used to do a gig down there. What was it? Something Blondie.
yes, Acton. Yeah, Blondie
Yeah, the
tribute act.
tribute band.
Oh,
What's it?
Bootleg Blonde.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Blondie.
Bootleg Blondie.
Yeah, he used to play.
Like,
He used to play
Yeah.
the guitar. He's the guitarist there, Russ.
What club do you go to?
He's
Spirit
a
rock,
musician. He is.
isn't
I'm on designed one of his albums as well. Not
Oh,
in Amos.
Bloody hell. There we go.
Bluish.
Famous.
I did try getting Bootleg Blondie for the shakedown, but
Yeah, I
We
think you
didn't
went, I
afford
went
it.
along. Was it North Circuit? Was it 414?
I'd say yeah.
God. That was a long time ago. He
Yeah.
dropped me off there. Got well paid for it though.
That's the main thing.
Have we had any first time watchers tonight? So building up a new audience.
Right,
Steve
when,
Higgins, is he a new watcher?
I think Steve's been on. I've got a feeling Steve's been on before.
Okay.
Yeah, Neil hasn't come back to us, so
I guess that doesn't make
yeah.
sense.
Well, I think we'll call. I mean, we've done hour 35. I think we can call it.
Yeah.
I mean, what you've done as a good
Very
example.
interesting tonight.
Yeah, been illuminating. Illuminating.
We've gone down lots of rabbit holes with this one tonight. That's been very good. I've found it fascinating.
Yeah, so I hope. I mean, I'm going to come back round here now.
I never walked out, but it must have been interesting.
You never got up and left, did you? I mean,
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that's still showing your messages.
Anyway, so I hope that's given everyone who's watching this on live, and then everyone who's watching this, once it's gone up on channel, give you some sort of insights into what to keep an eye out for when you're looking to go to a medium, or if you go to when I do the psychic nights and all that, so it gives you an idea and an insight into what you guys are open for. So we're going to take ta-da.
Oh, not yet. Sorry. Sorry, we're not
Next,
saying
so
that yet.
we're going to say
Before.
ta-da.
That's right.
Obviously, vlog back next Monday. There's recorded content coming up next week, which I will update you with on Monday. And then the next live stream will be on the third Monday of this month, and that will be a regular Ask a Medium. So we'll be here with the cards and talk about all spiritual stuff that we haven't spoken about yet.
Yep.
And maybe go one as
So
well.
that'll be the 19th, won't it?
I think so.
Correct.
Yeah, about
Third Monday of the
Ah,
month.
get me
Yeah,
my maths.
yeah, it's about right.
No one was impressed.
Because then the following Monday is bank holiday. We have to Margate.
Again, how many bank holidays? Don't swear at me.
There's two in May.
Neil, if you're still online, please give some thought to what I've given you, and
Yeah.
next time we're about, let me know. Because
Yeah,
it must,
so next
it
time I
must
lives, just
fit
give us a reminder.
somewhere. So yeah, it's my fault. I probably just gave it in the wrong way. It's never them. They know what they're doing, so
It's their
it
interpretation.
will make sense.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Anyway, love and light. God bless you all from a lot of us. Ta-ra! See you on the next one.
Bye, bye.
Oh,
Aye.
become a northerner.
Ooh.
It's a bit Coronation Street now.
Gerard, look.
I'll tell you what, I'm getting trawler, trawlers. You know this, the trawlers, and there's a massive storm, and someone's got lost on a trawler.
What, right now?
Yeah, it's been there.
You've
How's
been
it gonna
watching,
work?
lobsters.
Oh,
So God knows who's that's for God's sake. Maybe it's for one of them, but I'm just.
Seems to be fishy to
Get
me.
they now, they've got-
yeah, all right, okay,
Your
well,
guides are slow.
right,
No,
well,
fishy, that.
Just someone else's.
Hey, seems a bit fishy.
Someone else was sort of chatting, and I couldn't get a word in.
I
So
hope Neil
Oh.
was okay.
Right.
That's not a-
I'm just going to quickly check, and then we really will say goodbye. So yeah, Steve's just said that Blondie band may have performed in the George and Dragon in Acton about
Yeah.
20 years ago.
yeah.
How's
All right,
it going?
so all right, that's the one. Thanks guys for putting up with me. No problem, Steve. It's been a pleasure. Heather, always a pleasure. We know Heather. And then thank you, Gloria. Good night, all. Yeah, Neil, as I say, don't forget to let us know if anything that makes sense.
Yeah.
We are going to say goodbye. Thank you very much. Good night. God bless. Love and light.
It's still on there.
Oh, well.
I can't get this across. That's it. Got it.